Hi, everyone. It's Sophia Melone, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. Welcome to another day on the Debt Demolisher TV. And as I mentioned to you all yesterday, I am continuing a series giving you guys a throwback series that I did last year because the conversation and because the topics that were covered are still relevant to this day. So I want you guys to tune in very closely for day 2 of the labor series, because I'm going to be sharing with you what methods you can take to really labor your finances the right way. So if you're ready, let's go. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. So you are here today because we are on this series of understanding how to labor in our finances correctly. Now, if you missed day 1, we talked about the basics in terms of how to get your mindset together, how to position your mindset in order to effectively labor correctly in your finances. So if you missed day 1, I need you to go back and watch that episode, because when it comes to mindset is the foundation. It is the basic foundation. And not only just the basic foundation for your finances, but it's the basic foundation for everything. So if you don't have your mindset right, regardless of what journey you are embarking on, I'm telling you right here and right now that you probably won't last long on that journey. So you want to make sure that you're jumping in to figure out how you can strengthen your mindset in order to get to where you want to be with the goals that you are trying to reach, whether it's financially or non-financially related. So today we are going to be jumping into the pillars of wealth. And not only that, understanding the pillars to building wealth. One of the things that I know is that we all like to have this saying of, I want to be wealthy. I want to have like all of these things. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. However, we don't take time to sit down and think about, well, what do the people do who are already in this space? What do the people do who are already in this journey of building wealth, and not only building wealth, but building significant wealth? And so we have to learn that we have to study what the wealthy people do if that is the position in which we would like to be in. So this is going to be a 5-part because it's going to be a lot of information. So I'm going to break it down so I'm not taking up too much of your time this morning. So I'm going to be chopping this conversation up into different pieces just so that it is digestible and it's consumable for you, because you want to make sure that you're taking notes on this, because this is going to be good stuff. Now, I've been reading this book called The Black Wealth Choice. And if you don't have it, I highly recommend that you get it. It is written by, it's written by Dennis Kimbro. So if you don't know who Dennis Kimbro is, please Google him. The man is like a genius. He's amazing. But he basically picked up the iteration of Think and Grow Rich. If you guys don't know that book by Napoleon Hill, he picked up the book. And he was invited actually to do a segment or an extension of that for blacks. So if you don't have The Black Choice, I need you to get it by Dennis Kimbro. I wish I had it right now in front of me, but I don't. It's in my bookshelf, but I will post a picture of it so you can know exactly which book I'm talking about. But in that book, he talked about the keys to wealth building, right? And he talked about what it would actually take for us, especially in African American communities, on the things that we need to do or the things that we need to level up in terms of getting us to that space of where we want to go and want to be. So the first principle, and I truly believe this and I firmly believe this, and I say this all of the time on my platforms, as well as the people who I coach and the students who come into my classroom, I share with them that the foundational principle to building wealth is you have to start with saving. So Dennis Kimbro talks about the 5 things that wealthy people do, right? This is going to be 5 parts that I'm going to be breaking this down. So if you want to know what the rest of them are, you got to tune in for the next segment so that you can get the next breakdown. But the first one is that they save. So if we want to think about what the wealthy people do, the first thing that they do is that they save. Because you have to be in a position, you guys, to have the cash flow necessary to sustain you, not only in the event of an emergency, but also to sustain you so that you can have some assets, or not only assets, but so that you can have some cash flow in order to acquire the assets that you want. The long-term assets, right? Not the short-term asset kind of stuff. We're talking about generational and legacy wealth building here, not small stuff, right? So you have to have access to liquid resources in order to really do this. Now, you can leverage credit and lines of credit and things of that nature to build wealth at the same time, but you have to be strategic in your approach and how you're going to use it. But that's a conversation for another day. So we're going to be focusing on saving today. So if you are not paying yourself first, if you are not putting something along to the side for yourself, I want you to stop what you're doing right now. I want you to go to a computer. I want you to get out a piece of paper and decide the amount that you are going to pay you first. A lot of times, especially in our communities, this is our order of repaying or using the money that we receive based on our earnings. The first thing that we typically do is we either spend it on obligations. So if there's bills that have to be paid, or if there's just stuff that we want to buy to fill our own personal whatever insecurities or needs that we have, we focus on spending money on other people, but we don't pay ourselves first. And what that means by paying yourself first is deciding, out of all of the money that you've earned, your hard-earned efforts, your hours that you put in, that salary or that pay that you get from delivering your gift to the world, you typically spend it immediately on paying other people back because of the things that you agreed to use or the things that you agreed to purchase, but you don't want to pay yourself. So you have to think about, what is your level of worthiness? And again, I have on a button, I know my worth. So when you know your worth, you will think differently about how you treat the resources that you have that are coming in. Not saying there's nothing wrong with supporting other people. Not saying there's nothing wrong with giving to other people. Not saying there's anything wrong with buying things for yourself. But at the end of the day, if you aren't building your reserve, building that pocket and fund of liquid resources that can serve you, especially in these cases like this with COVID-19 that's happening, right? A lot of people are out of work. A lot of people's income has slashed in half. The unemployment benefits aren't as high as they used to be through the CARES Act because the $600 is going away, even though there's bills and stuff that's being signed talking about, deferments of Social Security tax not being taken out of your check. You guys, you have to think about reading all of the implications and seeing how all of these changes in legislations, if it's going to impact you in a positive way or not in a positive way. And again, this is a conversation for another time, so I will table this for another discussion. But I'm sharing all of this because you have to make sure that you are positioning yourself to win. And the only way that you can position yourself to win is by making sure that you're putting yourself at the top of the pay list. I say this all of the time, especially when I'm being interviewed on other people's platforms. I always mention this note of making sure that you put yourself at the top of the pay list. You can't keep paying everybody else and not paying you. And then you looking for a handout because you didn't manage the money that you were supposed to manage when you got it. Come on, somebody. I know I'm probably stepping on people's toes today, but we have to have these bold and truthful conversations, and somebody have to give it to you real. Somebody got to give it to you real. And I don't mind being the one giving it to you real, and there's no shame or no blame within what I'm saying, because I used to be in that same space. I never saved. I never had any cash. I relied on credit cards for everything. So I know exactly what you're going through. But you have to make sure that you are working on your mindset to determine, all right, how much am I willing to do and what am I willing to give up? Because a lot of times we acquire things that we don't necessarily need, that doesn't really serve us, right? And we just spend just to spend, but then we don't have any cash flow in the bank. So I'm just saying, y'all, I am just saying that you have to put yourself on the top of the pay list. And if I'm cutting you this morning, take it with a grain of salt and just take it as a note, a mental note to yourself on something that you need to act on. Because typically, when you get convicted on something, that means that you got some work to do, right? You got some work to do. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We all got work to do. We all have work to do. So, as I was saying, we want to make sure that we are flipping our order, right? Flip your order. When you write out all of your expenses or you begin to pay all of your bills for the month, every time you get sources of income coming in, you want to look at those line items and see where you stand. So are you on the top of the list or are you on the bottom of the list? A lot of times we put ourselves at the bottom of the list and then we're not able to save ourselves in the emergencies of times such as this. And this is another thing that I say, save yourself so you can pay yourself. So pay yourself now so that you can save yourself, so that you can save yourself later. So you have to choose what you are going to pay yourself with first on a consistent basis. So my personal order is I tithe, right? So I'm an avid tither. I firmly believe in giving the Lord my first fruits at all times. Let me tell y'all, I don't play when it comes to honoring the Lord with that. And so my order is I tithe first, give my honors and my thanks to the Lord. Then I pay myself, and then I pay everyone else. That is my order, and that is the order that I encourage you all to begin to try to model as well. I know it can be difficult. I know it can be hard, especially once we've already had all of these different obligations and things to our name before you guys are watching this recording or seeing this video. But I want to challenge you to see how you can reposition yourself on your pay list. See what you need to cut, what you need to eliminate in order to allow that number of paying you to get higher and higher. And then not only that, we're going to be focusing on getting additional income into the door, because we all know that multiple streams of income is absolutely necessary in this journey. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So if you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, just relying on one source of income, and that one source of income goes away, you don't have a safety net, right? And so you have to constantly be thinking about, how can I generate additional income sources outside of my main income source? How can I generate additional income sources outside of my main income sources? And even when you get that additional income, you got to know what to do with it, y'all. This is another thing. We're going to talk this morning, okay? Then I got to go. But we're going to talk, because when we come into a windfall of money, it can be through tax refunds. It can be through somebody just being a blessing to you, just dropping $100 or $200 in your cash app, whatever that may be. The first thing that we tend to do is figure out, all right, how I'm going to spend it. No, y'all, no. If you come into a windfall of money, I need you to be strategic. Put your thinking caps on and really say, what can I do with this excess? What can I do with this excess so that it can position my equities bottom line to the maximum capacity? How can I reposition this resource to benefit not only me now, but also benefit me later, as well as my legacy? Y'all, the paycheck today is not promised tomorrow. So if you get a lump sum of money coming in, do not think that your immediate reaction is to spend it all. Because if you do that, how are you really going to be positioning your equities bottom line? How are you really going to be positioning your wealth building for your legacy? Y'all, we got to think differently. And I'm not saying that you have to be a minimalist. I'm saying that you have to be smarter with your resources. You have to be an effective steward over the resources that the Lord has blessed you with. Okay? So So that was part 1 of this session where we're talking about the pillars of wealth building. We will continue this conversation on next week. Well, I will give you the number 2 pillar of wealth building. So make sure that you come back. And again, if you did not watch the last lesson, I need you to go back to day 1 and listen to the lesson on repositioning and building your mindset for the legacy and the wealth that you are building and the steps that you want to make to reposition your financial life. So go back and watch day 1. Rewatch day 2 if you need to, which is our session today, and I will catch you guys next week in day 3. So I want to thank you, and I want to let you know that your financial prosperity awaits you. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me directly. I have a few financial challenges that are coming up that I would love for you guys to be involved in. If that's something that you want to do, we're going to be deep diving into stuff like this, but then giving you things that you can do that will only take you 30 minutes a day to make needlepoint moves in your finances, and not only in your finances, but in your mental finances as well. The mind. Okay? So you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you all next week for day 3 of Labor Your Finances the Right Way. All right. Have a good one. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.